In this video, we're going to expand on the NPC dialogue system that we've set up in the previous video, and we're going to allow our player to choose from a couple of choices from the NPC, and based on our choice, the NPC will react differently. So we're going to kick this off by going into our dialogue folder. We're going to make what I'm going to call our dialogue utils. So it's just going to be a utility script that's going to allow us to access dialogue related information elsewhere in our game. So let's give it a class name. We're going to need this dialogue utils. And in order for us to be able to access it, we want to extend ref counted. We're going to need a constant in here, which is going to be called our choice prefix. And this is going to be a string. We're going to default it to choice underscore. So we're going to need to develop a way to differentiate between whether our NPC is talking or whether our player is choosing a choice. So we're going to have a static method here where we add choices to dialogue set, where we take in a dialogue set and we take in choices, which will be an array. I'm not going to return anything here. We're going to have another static method where it's going to be called isChoiceDialogue. Give it dialogue, which will be a dictionary. And we're going to return a bool here. And then our last static function is going to be get choice ID, which is going to be in our dialogue, which is going to get a dictionary. We're going to return a string here. All right, so let's start at the top and build out the add choices to dialogue set. So for us, our choices are going to be a more or less a simple yes or no for our character. So we're going to loop through our choices. We're going to have to get the I in the range for our choices dot size. And then we go to our dialogue set that we passed in. We're going to access the dialogues. We're going to append. Then we're going to have a dictionary here of speaker, which will be our choice, which is going to be a special speaker type that identifies this as a player choice for us. Then we're going to have the text, which is going to be our choices at the index we're at. And then we're going to have a choice ID, which is going to equal our choice prefix plus the string at the index. So this is going to be a unique ID for a specific choice. You know, for example, it would be choice underscore 0. The equals here. In the isChoice dialog, we're going to check if the dialog entry is going to be a choice. So what we have to do here, we're just going to be able to do a simple return on our dialog. We're going to get a get on the speaker and whether or not it equals choice. I think we'll ultimately end up refactoring this into an enum of sorts, but I think for now, this is just going to get us quickly to a place where we can see this in action. And then we want to get, in the last method, a choice ID or an empty string if it's not found. So we just do another simple return here on dialog get, and we're going to pass in the choice ID or an empty string. So we're going to jump around here a little bit. This helps us with the choices, but I also want to make our dialogue a little bit more interesting. So we're going to add a NPC portrait to all of our dialogues. We're talking to an NPC. So let's go back to our NPC base class. I'm going to bring up the 2D here and the script. So we already have the profile texture that we set up. We didn't do anything with this before. So what we're going to do here, we just go into our profile texture, we're going to do Atlas texture, and we're going to get a specific region of Little John. So pass him in here, go to the edit region, and let's choose just the top left. I'm just going to use a classic idle still for him. We're going to add a method here as well. We're going to call this getPortrait, which is going to return a texture 2D. And we're going to check if we have the profile, we return our profile texture. Otherwise, we're just going to return none. And I should call this get profile instead, not get portrait. Then we need to jump over to our dialog UI scene so we can actually account for this. So we're going to reorder this a little bit. where I'm going to add an HBox container, inside of this existing VBox here. I'm going to bring it to the top. We want to add a texture rect. This is going to be for our portrait here. We're going to go into the layout, give it a minimum size of 32 by 32. And obviously this doesn't look good up here. There's so much gray space. So what I want to do is bring the speaker name into this HBox container. So now we're going to have the profile picture next to the speaker. But we also have to go in to our script here, and we need to update the speaker name. And let's also update this to be profile. We'll just call this profile. We need these new onreadies. So I'm going to drag those two, and then we need to get rid of the existing speaker name onready. We're also going to give a theme to our buttons. So we're going to be making a choice container for our buttons, which are going to be housed here. So these are all housed inside of this VBox here. And then the last thing we're going to put in this VBox container, we're going to do the outermost VBox container. We're going to add another HBox container, and we're just going to call this our choice container. This is where we're going to auto-populate all of the buttons here. So we want to go into our theme overrides. We're going to give this a little bit of separation. So we'll give them 5 on the separation. And then in the theme, we want to create a new theme. And what we want to override are the buttons here. We're going to go to the text. We're just going to add our existing font file here, which is going to be this Bitpotion. And then in the text size, I do want to make sure that we are at 16 here. So let's save that. We can close that, and that's all we're going to have to do visually here in our scene. So we can go back to the script now, and we are going to need the choice container as an onready. And we're also just going to grab the H separator and bring that as an onready as well, just in case we are going to need it below. We're just going to call it the separator though. We're going to need to add a variable here that is called pending choices, which will be an array, and we can default to an empty. And now we have to add a couple of new methods that we're going to fill out, but I just want to get rid of any errors that we're going to show. So we're going to have a show choices method, which takes in an array of choices, and we don't return anything. We're going to have another function that is called show pending choices. We're going to have a function for create choice button, which is where we're going to actually generate our buttons dynamically in choice container. And we want to do it this way so that we can apply this dialog UI to something else down the road. It's not just going to be stuff that we're writing specifically for our bridge guard. And here we're going to pass in our choice text, which is a string, and then the choice ID, which is going to be a string as well. We're not going to return anything here. Let me create some more space, and then we're going to have an onChoice selected, which we need to pass in a choice ID, which is a string. Not going to return anything here. We're going to need a method to clear the choices. And now we can actually start to fill this out. And we're going to have to go back up to our show dialog here, and we're going to modify this a little bit. So the first thing that we're going to do is after we show our dialog box, we're just going to hit clear choices. After this, we can keep this all the same. But now we need to handle our portraits if we're actually getting the portrait. So we're going to check if the current has, we're going to pass in the profile. Then we are going to get our profile texture. We're going to set it to the current dot profile. Then we're going to do profile, and we're going to show it. Otherwise, we are going to hide our profile. And then that's all the updates that we have to do in that method. In our show choices, we're going to set our pending choices equal to the choices that we passed in. And if we're not typing, so if we're not is typing, we're going to show our pending choices. In show pending choices, I'm going to check if pending choices is empty. And if it is, just return out of this method. Otherwise, we're going to show our separator. And we're going to do a loop for the choice in our pending choices. And then we're going to create choice button. Let me pass in the choice.text and the choice.choiceID. And then we go to our pending choices and we clear them out, since we want that to ultimately end up being an empty array afterwards. Oh, and it's not just .empty, it is, or yeah, it's .isEmpty here. In our create choice button, we're going to create a variable for a button, and we're going to equal it to a new button. And we're going to do the button.text equal to the choice text. And then on button pressed, we're going to connect. We're going to write a one-off function, so func, and then we do our on choice selected and pass in the choice ID. And then we get our choice container, and we add a child, and we add in our button. So up here, if we have two choices, at this point, we're going to be making two choice buttons. We're going to need to come back to on choice selected down the road, but we are going to be able to go into our dialog manager here. We're going to get the dialog index. We're going to add a 1 to it. Then we go to our dialog manager again, and we're going to display the current dialog. We're going to have to do some stuff around our current choices inside of the dialog manager, but we're not quite there yet. So let's just come back to that when we need to. And then in our clear choices, we're just going to loop through the children inside of the choice container, get children. Then we're just going to queue free each of these children. We're going to hide our separator. And then we're going to also clear out our pending choices. And we should be good here. I think we're also going to add clear choices into hide dialog. And then that should have us exactly where we want to be, except in here. In start typing, we're also going to show our pending choices once we've actually finished writing all the text to the screen. So now we can head over to our dialog manager, and this is where we're going to add a couple of extra variables and update a few of our methods. So after current MVC, we're going to add 3 more variables. We're going to have current choice, which is a string, and it's going to be an empty one. We're going to have a variable for waiting for input, which will default to false as a Boolean. And we're going to have an is choice response, which is also a Boolean, and we default to false. We're going to make a small update to our start dialog, and we're just going to add another variable that we pass in, which is response, and we're just going to default this to false. And then after the is dialog active, we're just going to set the is choice response equal to the is response that we're getting from start dialog. So if we don't have one, it's just going to default to false. Now in display current dialog, we need to make a few updates. So I'm actually going to just get rid of this variable, and we're just, instead of that, we're just going to go to the current dialog, and in square brackets, we're going to pass in the dialog index here. We don't need that explicit variable right now. And then after this, we need to check if this is a choice response. We need to make sure that we're done after we show it. So waiting for input is going to be true, and then we return. Otherwise, we're going to get all consecutive choice dialogues if this isn't a response. So we're going to get a variable for our choices, which is going to be equal to an empty array. We're going to plus equals 1 to our dialog index, and then while dialog index is less than the current dialog size, we're going to get a variable that we're going to call next, which is going to equal the current dialog at the dialog index. And then if dialog utils is a choice dialog, and we pass in next, and we're going to do choices, append, and then pass in next, stay in that if block, and we're going to go to our dialog index, plus equals 1, else we're going to break out of this while loop. We still have a little bit more to do here, where we need to show all the choices after the text. So if not, choices is empty, dialog UI, show choices, and we're going to pass in our choices here. Waiting for input is going to be back set to false. Otherwise, we're still going to be waiting for our input. In the input method, we're going to have a little bit less to do here. We are only going to have to add two things here. So under if we're typing, after the full text, we want to go into our dialog UI, and we want to show the pending choices. Then we're going to do an elif waiting for input. We're going to end dialog, and then waiting for input is set to false. In our end dialog, we're going to make two changes as well. We're going to set the current choice back to an empty string, and we're going to modify our dialog finished signal. So let's go to the top, and we're going to pass in the choice here, which is going to be a string. So then that means down here, when we emit the signal, we need to also pass in our current choice before we reset it back to an empty string. With that done, we can go back to our dialog UI, and in this on choice selected bit here, we can go tap into our dialog manager, and we're going to get the current choice, and then we're going to set this equal to the choice ID. Now we can move to the dialog area, and we're going to add an export variable for, this is going to be a dialog cooldown. This is going to be a float and equal to 0.2. So this is just going to ensure that if they accidentally press the interact button too quickly, we don't want to immediately go back to them talking to our NPC. We want there to be some sort of downtime. So we're going to need to actually add into our ready method here, where we tap into our dialog manager, dialog finished. We're going to connect and add a new method for on dialog finished. We're going to go create that down here at the bottom. We do pass in a choice, which is a string. I'm not going to return anything, but in order to fill this out, we need to add another variable. I'm going to call variable for can trigger, which will default to true because we want the player to be able to trigger the dialogue. But on dialog finish, can trigger, it's going to be equal to false. We're going to do an await, and we're going to create a timer. So get tree, create timer on our dialog cooldown. I'll need timeout. And then we just reset can trigger back to true. We're going to make an update to our unhandled input as well. So we're going to create a variable for can start dialog, which is going to be equal to the event is action pressed, interact, and the player's in range. So it's similar to what we just did down below, and not dialog manager. Dialog manager is dialog active, and we can trigger. So this is a very long Boolean for us. And then we're going to rework this down here. So we're going to do, if we can start the dialogue, which is what we just made, and we're going to wrap this up here and not dialog sets as empty, then we can proceed into this. Again, I know this has been a lot of code, but we need to just finish up the bridge guard script, and then we're going to be able to actually see this in action. So let's head over to our bridge guard. We're actually not going to use this move position variable. We actually are going to do this a little bit differently than I had intended, but we are going to have a variable for has moved, which is a bool, and we're going to default this to false. Our ready method can stay the same. We're going to rework a little bit of how these dialogues are. So the variable for set can stay the same, but we're going to first check if the guard has moved. And if he's moved, we're just going to display just a nice friendly message for him. So we check if we have moved. We're going to do set dialogues equal to a list, which takes in a dictionary, and we're going to have speaker, which is going to be the character name, the text, which I'm just going to have hope you're finding your travels well. Just a nice little friendly message for our character. And then this is what's new. We're going to have our profile, and then we're going to get profile. Otherwise, we're going to show these normal dialogue. So let's just actually see if we can get the profile picture set up correctly. I need to add a comma here. And now when we interact with the bridge guard, we see his picture. So that's a nice little improvement. You may not want this. I think it adds a nice little touch, but you know, if you don't want the portraits or the profile pictures, feel free to get rid of them. But we need to expand on this a little bit more. I'm actually going to change this message. I don't really like this as much, so we're going to change this a little bit. I'm going to say, passing this bridge will lead to lots of danger. Are you sure you want to pass? And we're going to make this a conditional, right? So if we haven't talked, what do we call this? Oh, has said yes. So if not, has said yes, else, we're going to say welcome back. Are you ready to pass? Okay. We want to keep this profile picture here, but we're not going to return the set yet. We're going to get a variable for our choices now. So we need to actually create the choices that the character can choose from. And in this one, I'm going to do yes, I'm sure, and no, not yet. When we go into our dialogue utils, we're going to add choices to dialogue set, pass in our set and the choices, and then we return the set. We need to update our onDialog finished a little bit as well. So I'm just going to get rid of this right now. We're going to do if not has said yes equals true. Then we're going to go to our dialog area, dialog sets equal, we're going to pass in an array of the create initial dialog. Then if choice is going to be equal to the dialog utils, choice prefix plus a string of 0, that means we're going to want to pass. We're going to create a variable for our response, say array, a dictionary, and the speaker is going to be the character name. Text will be all step aside. Good luck. And then the profile is going to be get profile. Outside of this, we go to our dialog manager again. We start dialog, give it the response, pass in our self and true. Then we need to see if the guard hasn't moved. So if not has moved, so if we haven't moved, we're going to change this to true. We're going to create a tween so that we can move our guy, or our NPC rather. So we're going to create a tween here. And we're going to do a tween property on self, the position. We're going to get the bridge guard's position, and we're going to add vector2, 0 and -32. So we're going to be moving upwards 2 tiles. And we're going to do this over the course of a second, so it's a nice little gradual walk for our bridge guard. And we can get into our dialog area, dialog sets, and that will equal an array, create initial dialog. Then we need to go outside of this if, so we're going to be giving an elif to this choice. So elif choice is going to be equal to our dialog utils, a choice prefix, +1. This means we don't want to pass yet. We're going to get a response, which is equal to an array, dictionary, speaker, which is our character name again. Give it the text, which will be come back when you're ready. And then lastly, we're going to get the profile and get profile. And then still here, sorry, now this is lastly, we're going to get the dialog manager, start dialog, pass in the response, ourself, and true. Alrighty, so this should get us to a place where we can actually see our reactions and our buttons to when we say yes or no. So if we look here, we see Lil Jon. We have our buttons. Again, this isn't the prettiest. I think we're going to iterate on this just throughout the process, where we'll have sort of like a game juice video where we just do a lot of, I don't know if you want to call them quality of life or design choices. But now, okay, so we can't click this button here. Or I can, it's just, we have to fix that. That's it's only populating very shortly, but now I see when I hit yes, he moves away. We are going to fix that, but let's see if I can click on the no button. Say no, he says come back when you're ready. Actually going to add a period to the end of this. We will fix the button thing. I do want to add a couple of quick quality of life features before we actually go in and figure out the buttons. So I want to make sure that that inventory bar is hiding, right? I don't want to see the inventory bar when we're in dialogue. So let's find our inventory bar script, and inside of the process method, which we don't have, so we are going to create it. We're going to look in our dialogue manager, and if the dialogue is active, we're going to get our control. Oops, sorry, we need to actually pass in the control. So let's bring up the scene too. So we want to get this control here. So let's pass that in as in on ready, and then we're going to hide it. Not a colon there. And then otherwise we show it. So let's go back in and play this. When I hit E, it's gone now. And now these buttons, so that was interfering with our ability to actually click the buttons. So now I hit no. But now you see also when I click afterwards, I'm still swiping the sword. It's good that our inventory comes back, but I don't want that sword swipe to happen, right? I think that's just, I don't know. No, you're not trying to swipe the guy or the bridge guard. So we need to go into our state machine again. So let's find that. It's in our character, state machine. And inside of here, instead of just doing this basic return here, we're going to do if the current state and current state dot name to lower does not equal idle. We're going to do current state exit. Current state is going to be equal to our states square brackets idle. Current state dot enter, and then we return. So now go here, click yes, I'm sure. We step aside. We still did swipe. I don't know if that was a key press on my end. This also is not working correctly here. Okay. Okay, so let's fix all this. We're gonna need to go back to our bridge guard. And seemingly, if we have moved, okay, so what I didn't do here is we never actually returned the set after we set this as moved, so we end up ultimately coming down here and rewriting our set.dialogues to be this. So that should eliminate what we just had here. Okay, now when we go talk to him, hope you're finding your travels well. Okay, that's much nicer. But now let's go and tackle the sword swipe. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into the dialogue manager, and we're going to build in a little, what do you want to call it, like a cooldown once the dialogue is finished. So let's create a variable for dialogue cooldown. It's going to be equal to 0.2. We're going to rework end dialogue. We're going to do is dialogue active. We're going to set that to true. Then we're going to get our dialogue finished. We're going to emit this, pass in the current choice, current choice is equal to an empty string. I guess I didn't really need to get rid of all that, but then we're going to put a timer. So we're going to get tree, create a timer on our dialog cooldown, timeout, and then is dialog active to false. So now when we play this, talk to my guy, I hit no. Sorry guys, I forgot to put the dialog UI and hide it. Now this will work. Okay. So no, not yet. I don't immediately swipe. I go back here. Yes, I'm sure. He moves and I can still swipe. Okay, so I think that is a good stopping point for us. And in the next video, we will continue looking at how we can expand on this game, where we're going to create a new biome and do some more NPC creation and possibly add in a quest for us to send our character on so we can start adding some more life to this game.